Let's go and see what's happening in Limpopo now. And the first day of special voting running relatively smoothly. But a voting station in Dennilton delayed opening after an electoral officer who had the keys to the station was allegedly murdered by his wife. And Linda Mnisi is at the Provincial Results Centre in Polokwane. Linda, good morning to you again and welcome. So this is an interesting but, different, a story you can't really anticipate, right? So just share with us more. Have there been any developments in regard to this and just in general, how are things going?
Well, from what we know, Iman, the officers, after, of course, the scene was processed, they were able to open that particular voting station. Although it was delayed, they were ultimately able to administer the votes and allowing people to come in and cast their votes. The police in the province are telling us that the wife that is involved in that particular incident has since been arrested, and that's one of the incidences that were reported yesterday during the first special votes that were being cast in this particular province. But they're keeping a close eye on all, voting stations, particularly those that are identified as medium risk, which are about 157, and those that are identified as high risk, which are about 24. But at the end of yesterday, as mentioned earlier, the IEC here in the province did not really have the numbers in terms of how many people had voted because, of the rural areas where officers had to go and administer the voting processes, the home visit that had to be conducted. So at close of business day yesterday, around 5 o'clock, the officers had not returned back. But we're getting a sense now from the Provincial Electoral Officer, Mr. Mateta, thank you so much for your time. Nkaro Mateta, sorry about that. Talk to us about the numbers, right? The numbers yesterday at the end of the day, you did not have the numbers, but at this point I understand you were able to get a sense of what day one looked like statistically. Definitely. We are quite excited that our biggest fear, where we had the highest number of home visits in the district of Bembe, yesterday, they confirmed that indeed they covered the majority of those home visits, particularly in far-flung areas. So today, their work is going to be quite easy because then they are closing in towards the local office. So by last night, in the Thulamela area, which had about more than 10,000 of the 96,000, they had done about 60% of those home visits. And they are hopeful that today, with the strategy they've developed, where in cases where the teams are done, they are going to join the teams that still has high numbers. Number two, we also approached the commission with a view to open stations quite early today. So we opened at 8 o'clock to allow and get an extra hour to catch up in cases where really the numbers are still high. So we are quite confident that by 5 o'clock we will be done with all the home visits. Disappointingly, more than 700 people were not found in their homes. You can imagine the wasted resources where IEC goes all out to look for these people and only to find that they did not even qualify for a home visit. Because if you go to the mall, it means you can walk, you can go to the voting station. Why do you apply for a home visit when in fact you can simply walk to the voting station? And what is the recourse there for people that are not found in their homes? Are you going to go back? How are you going to resolve this? Well, in the case where we did not find the person, we left a note that please come to the voting station on Wednesday. We are not able to go back because, as you can see, our numbers are quite high. We need to reach 96,000 homes. So once we have passed, our program says go forward. We cannot reverse and go back to a home. So we leave a note, please go to the voting station on Wednesday. Yesterday, you also reported around the people that did not submit their Section 24A applications and wanted to vote. They turned up in the voting stations, but because they did not inform the Electoral Commission that they would be voting in a different voting station, then they were turned back. Do you manage to capture the number of people that did that?
Well, indeed, several people were turned back. I think it's a combination of the two. Some people who did not apply for special votes. For example, earlier today I received a call that, what about people who are in the hospital? Unfortunately, you need to apply for special vote. IEC cannot just walk into a hospital and administer a special vote. Similarly, if you did not apply, the only opportunity you have is Wednesday to present yourself at the voting station. With the Section 24A, these are people like yourself who perhaps you are registered in Gauteng, and because of work you will be based in Limpopo. I imagine you would have approached the CEO via this Section 24A and told the CEO you'll be voting in Polokwane, identify the name of the voting station, so that tomorrow, which is Wednesday, when you arrive at that voting station, your name will be on the list. But because you are from Gauteng, you will only receive the national ballot, because as a Gauteng person, you can't influence what happens in Limpopo.
And overall, do you have figures in terms of how many people were able to vote yesterday?
How many people
were able to vote yesterday?
Overall, out of the 96,000, I think we were just about 45,000.
And talk to us about what's going to be happening here in the Nerve Center in Limpopo. We understand that you'll be having different political parties and you'll be having a training for them. I can already see just behind us, there's a screen there that explains the purpose of the training, as well as some members of political parties that have already started arriving.
Indeed, this is the Provincial Rock. We're hosting both political parties and independent candidates. So in total, we have more than 40 candidates that are hosted here. So today we are providing training for them to understand the results system. They need to monitor as the results come in. What I will be seeing on my desktop, they will also see the same thing. So when the local office captures the results, they will be able to see the image of the captured results and also another image, so that they do the comparison of the results that was captured by hand at the voting station by the presiding officer, so that where there are errors, exceptions will arrive, and then we'll have to correct those exceptions. The images must compare. So if you have captured 7,000 votes using your hand at the voting station, the local office staff must also capture 7,000 and then distribute them accordingly. So we're going to check two things: whether they've captured all the votes, two, whether the distribution among candidates and political parties are actually matching what the presiding officer has recorded against what the local staff have captured.
And just before I let you go quickly, update us on the Dennilton voting station where a murder allegedly happened yesterday. Were you able to get another electoral officer to take over the station and have the keys in order, of course, to allow for voting to take place today?
So fortunately, as we understood it, the landlord, the principal of the school, had the key for the school. And fortunately, he was actually not the presiding officer. So we were able, through the deputy principal of the school, get the key and then open the voting station. Although a little bit late, but our colleagues have assured us that they were able to recover the few hours that they've left while the police were attending to the scene.
All right, Nkaro Mateta is the Provincial Electoral Officer. Thank you so much for your time updating us on what is happening in Limpopo in terms of those special votes. Over 40,000 votes being cast. Quite disappointingly, she says, about 700 people were not found in their homes. These are people, Iman, who would have registered for home visits. And she says if people can go to the mall, then it means they can go to a voting station, and therefore notes were left for them to go go and visit a voting station to cast their votes. She also gives us an update on that Dennilton voting station, saying that they were able to recover from the incident that took place yesterday. You heard her saying that today they opened a bit early to make up for those stations that were not able to open and administer those votes early yesterday. So it seems they are confident that by 5 o'clock today they would have, administered all those 96,000 votes that need to be cast today.
Yeah, Linda, Mnisi, thank you very much for that. The IEC's agility certainly being tested, during the incidents such as the one you've been talking about and what's happening around the country as well. But thank you very much for that. Everything seems to be then running smoothly there where Linda is.